Okay, in today's class, we are going to discuss one of the requirements modeling strategies, that is a flow-oriented model. Before going to know about flow-oriented modeling, first of all, we would see uh, previous sessions topics. Previously discussed concepts in this requirements modeling strategies. Okay, among them, so one of the requirement modeling strategy is called structured analysis. Okay, here we are going to learn three requirement modeling strategies. Okay, among the three requirements modeling strategies, the first one, okay, the first requirements modeling is called a structured analysis. Okay, it considers about data and the processes. This structured analysis, okay, is going to tell us about the data and process, okay, how they are transform the data into the, okay, separate entities, how the data is transformed into a separate entity. We have learned this concept in previous sessions. So if if you want to go for a modeling, which modeling? Data modeling. The data modeling is also called as a structured analysis. In data modeling concept, okay, how we are going to model the data? So by taking the data objects of the particular problem statements. Okay, without the data objects, we can't represent anything, or we can't going for a model here. So that's why if we want to perform data modeling, so you must have some data objects here. So which modeling is represented by using a data objects? That model is called a structured model or structured analysis. Okay, right. So data objects are modeled in a way that defines their attributes and relationships. Whenever we would take some data objects, okay, data objects for the modeling, then it will define the what are the attributes, okay, the particular problem statements have, and what are the relationship between one attribute to another attribute, right? And if we'll see the second point, processes, here how the data object is or data variable is, okay, relation between one another, which means, for example, if you want to calculate some what so area of rectangle, so what you need to calculate the area of rectangle here? So length into breadth, isn't it? So here length and breadth both are the attributes or variables. So what are the relationship between length and breadth? Is there any relationship or not? If one thing we have, we don't calculate the area of rectangle, isn't it? We must need both attributes. Okay, one is dependent on another one. So which kind of relation is there in between those length and breadth of a rectangle? Right. So What are the attributes in what if we have a problem statement, area of calculate the area of rectangle. So area of rectangle means compulsory we are in need of some attributes. So those are the attributes of length and breadth here. So attributes and the relationships. Those two are the data objects for calculation of a area of rectangle. If suppose, what is the process here? Process in the sense you should apply the formula. You should apply the formula for that attributes, whatever we have. If we have the attributes, then how we will find out the area of rectangle? Then you should write A equal to L into B. Okay. So there is into symbol, which means multiplication symbol. You should use in between those. Then only you will get some result, output, isn't it? So that is called a process for the given attributes. For the given attributes here, isn't it? Right, that is called the process that manipulates data objects are modeled in a manner that shows how they transform data as objects flow through the system. If you don't have the objects, then we don't, the formulas, no need to apply the formulas or no need to go for a process. Okay, finding process. If we have the variables, if you have the attributes with values, then only it's possible to do something on that particular attributes. So which kind of operation we are going to perform means it's based on a problem. Which based on a problem statements, right? Okay, this kind of requirements modeling analysis is called a data modeling. Okay, this is a concept of data modeling. That is one of the requirements modeling concept. If we'll go for a second one, the second approach is object oriented analysis. Object oriented analysis completely focuses on, okay, what is the second one here? Object oriented analysis. This is the one of the requirements modeling, right? So now we are going to, in object oriented analysis, we are going to, okay, define the classes. Object OOPS concepts will be, one of the feature of OOPS concepts is class, isn't it? So if you want to met that concept, we must have some classes, right? So first of all, if we want to model object oriented kind of modeling, then we are in need of some classes here. And the manner in which they collaborate with one another, how the classes are collaborated with one another, what is the relationship between two classes, how they are related with one another. Okay, these concepts we have learned in CRC class or relationship requirements and a collaborator. In CRC, we have learned about these collaborations and some methods also we have discussed. How one class is dependent on another class. There is a association and dependencies and also some what composite aggregation. So these are all these all are we learned in previous session, isn't it? Those three shown the collaboration between the two classes. What are those? Composite aggregations, associations, and dependencies, isn't it? So here, first of all, should define the classes in this object oriented model. First of all, you should define the classes, and also you should tell the relationship between the classes. Then only you should fulfill the business goals of a project. Why? Because one class may dependent on some other classes, isn't it? Without taking the support of other classes, okay, we may not, I mean, we may not fulfill our requirements, isn't it? So, I have just locked the meeting, so that's why. All right. Okay, this is about a second approach of requirements modeling to represent the requirements of a project. How we are going to represent? By using some models or designs. Okay, those are either class diagrams or object data objects. I mean, use cases diagrams or class diagrams. Okay, and some what many diagrams we have seen. Now in today's class we are going to learn about um, flow oriented diagrams. Okay, before going to learn those this flow oriented diagram, first of all, just this slide is for how many types of requirements modeling are there, whichever we have discussed in earlier classes. Okay, and if we'll see the second slide, this is actually today's concept, flow oriented modeling. Okay, so flow oriented modeling in the sense, what is a flow, what is orientation, and what is the modeling here? Just modeling in the sense, already you know, whatever we have requirements with us related to a project, how the requirements should be used into your project. Okay, what is the design of that particular okay what problem statement by using these requirements. Okay, and here the flow in the sense, flow oriented in the sense, how the data flow is going in between, okay, in between the system or modules or functions. Okay, how the data flow is going, which means uh, what is another example, if we'll take another example for data flow, how you are going to uh, some place, what is your data flow, what is your route, what you are need in between those. Okay, if you want to process something, if you want to do some job, whatever the things you are needed, if I want to calculate area of rectangle, so what I need there, before going to calculation, before going to processing purpose, first you should have some values for a and b, inputs for l and w, I mean l and b. If you have those two, then only you can process something. Otherwise, how would you? Okay. What is the data flow of a program? What is the data flow of a program? First of all, you are going to type one program. Then in output screen, you may give some input. Then you will get output. If you should apply some input to your program, then only it will give some outcome. That is called a data flow, isn't it? If you want to purchase one ticket, if you want to travel, okay, from here to somewhat Macharla or something, how you are going? First of all, you should buy a ticket. What is the data flow for that? Okay, first of all, you should go to that reservation office, or otherwise directly ticket selling counter. Then you will give the money to him. Immediately, he'll process and he'll give the ticket to you. Okay, wherever you want to go, isn't it? What is the data flow? Giving money to that particular person, whoever sitting in that to that particular counter. He'll receive that money, then process where you are going. He is asked you, then accordingly he'll give the ticket. If something any change, I mean for that particular amount whichever you have given, he'll return you, isn't it? That is a data flow, right? That is one kind of buying a ticket. Or otherwise you may buy the ticket from online also, computer or through mobile, anything. How you are going, how you are processing that? Okay, first of all you are opening their sites, and login, I mean, you should enter with your login credentials. Then follow the instructions to get a ticket, pay the amount, then take a what digital ticketing, or otherwise I mean, you may receive to your mobile number that particular details of a ticket whichever you have purchased through online, isn't it? So everything there is a flow in between the work. Okay. So whatever the tasks we are doing in our daily life, there is a flow of things. There is a flow would occur. Okay, things will complete with some flow or line, isn't it? So such kind of working nature here we are going to implement into this projects. Okay, so this flow oriented modeling is represents how data objects, okay, flow oriented modeling represent how data objects are transformed, how data objects are transformed, how you are going to use your data objects. What are the data objects here? Attributes or variables. How these are going to use, right, into your program. For which purpose you are going to use those data objects? Okay, what is the flow? For which processing unit you are going to send these attributes? These attributes are going to send to a single processing unit, I mean single function, or you are using those same attributes to multiple functions for reusability purpose. If you have two values, okay, or you have declared two variables, those two variables you are going to use those two variables for many kind of operations or not? For example, if I have declared A and B in my program, okay, so in one place I may write C equal to A plus B. Okay. So then printf C value. After that, again I may use C equal to A divided by B. Okay. Next print C value. After next third, as a fifth line, C equal to A minus B or B minus C. Okay, so in this program, I'm repeatedly using A and B values, A and B attributes, but the operations are different. First time addition, second time division, third time subtraction. Okay, different processes are going on, but the variable names are same. The variable names, attributes names are same. Okay, if you want to use the same values for all the process, you can use, but you may change the values also in between. But the variable should be common, attributes should be common, right? So like that, how your data objects are transformed, okay, throughout your system project. For which purpose you are going to use your attributes? Okay, only for single purpose or for multiple number of purposes you are going to use these attributes. Right? So it will this flow oriented modeling is going to tell about the data objects here, and also this flow oriented modeling is used data flow diagrams previously. Object oriented modeling or analysis is used for class diagrams, isn't it? So like that, flow oriented modeling is used for data flow diagrams. Already in one class we have seen what is a data flow diagram, how it will look like. I have shown in starting of this third unit. So I have shown you that use cases and class diagrams and data flow diagrams also. Okay, right? So data flow diagrams is the diagrammatic form that is used, and it is considered by many to be an old school approach. It's a oldest approach, but it continues to provide a view of the system. It will show some view of a project or system that is unique. It's a oldest methodology, even though for representing or in many designs or modelings, these data flow diagrams also using, and also these are suitable for these are suitable for many kind of projects. Okay, it will show some unique way of representation in somehow. So that's why now till today DFDs is also using in our projects designing or projects modeling. Okay, it should be used to supplement other analysis model elements, right? If we'll go for a next slide, data flow diagrams, the flow model. If you'll see that flow model, so every computer based system is an information transformation. So if you'll take the example for on computer based system, how the computer will work, it will accept some input and it will produce some output, isn't it? This is the thing what you have learned in fundamentals of computer subject. Computer or calculator. If you take a calculator also, what is a calculator here? It will take, calculator is a Okay, one device. What it will perform? It will take some input from a user and it will produce some output based on the given input and choose an operation, right? So it will accept some input and it will produce some output. Like that, the computer is also, okay, a computer is also, it will take some information from different sources and it will produce some outcome here. Okay, it will it will take the data and it will process the data. Computer system will process the data and it will show some results to us, right? How the data flow? The data flow is, see, like this. Whatever the lines I have drawn here, that is called a data flow. Okay, so this input and the output, here we are going to discuss about the input and the output. Okay, you may tell multiple number of inputs also you may have for a one program, multiple number of inputs, and here we are going to produce a single output. For example, here I am going to take a, okay, and b and c value. Okay, here I have applied a value, b value, c value, and I'll ask the computer to process, and after that I'm going to print the results here or output here for a given input. Alright, so this is a flow of a computer. And if we'll go for a next slide, this flow oriented modeling has some symbols or some notations like flow charts. Already you know, if I've learned some flow charts. Okay, what are the flow charts? Flow charts is it will represent the algorithm, how the algorithm will how one program will execute the or flow of a program. Okay, so here also for data flow diagrams is also have some symbols to represent the, okay, data flow from input to output. So what are the symbols here? We have only four kinds of symbols we have. First one is external entity. It's like what, square symbol, and it's one circle symbol for process, and it will represent a arrow represent a data flow, and two lines which means open-ended, some open-ended what, rectangle, like it is used to store a data purpose. If you want to store any data related to your project, then you can use this kind of symbol. Okay, if you want to represent some data flow, then this one. If you want to do process some, I mean, calculations processes or something, uh, for this symbol. And if you want to give some inputs through this symbol, okay, or just it's a unit, right? And if you'll see the next slide, so what is external entity here? The external entity is producer or a consumer of data is called a external entity. For example, a person, device or sensor. Okay, whichever produce the data or consumes the data. Okay, giving or taking. A person may produce or may give the data to a data to some particular program, or a person may enter the values to the to the calculator. So whatever it may be, so a person may give the data to a either laptop or computer or some calculator, anything. He may produce or consume like the device or sensor, anything. Okay, so how sensing devices are working? Okay, sensors in our daily life, here we are using many kinds of sensing devices. Okay, even though nowadays we are using in our daily life hand wash sanitizers, so even for the sanitizers also we are going to use some sensors to take that sanitizer. If we'll open our arm, automatically it will give some little bit sanitizer to our, I mean it will produce some what liquid for us, isn't it? So by sensing, by taking something input from our from human beings, so it's one kind of sensors here, right? Another example, a computer based system. So a person, device, or sensor, or it may be a computer based system. Anything whichever produces the data or whichever consumes the data is called a external entity here. Okay, data must always originate somewhere and must always be sent to something, right? And if you go for what is the next symbol, it's a circle symbol. It is always a data transformer or changes input to output. Whatever the formulas we are going to implement, that is called process here. Okay, so process in the sense it will take the inputs and it will turn that input into a output by applying some formula on that attributes. Okay, that is called formula here. And example, compute taxes, whatever the taxes we have calculated, those taxes, and some I mean calculation of areas, reports, okay, graphs. So everything is called here the data transformers here. And if you'll see the next slide, data flow. So this symbol, this single-headed arrow symbol is used as a, okay, it's a data flow symbol. Okay, it will use to represent the input and output. Okay, so here if you want to calculate a triangle of a area, so you should enter base, height, you should enter some base and height. These two are the inputs, and after that it will produce after it will calculate by taking base and height. Calculate in the sense calculation part is also called as process part. If we are I mean using the process, so process can be represented by using a circle symbol. So that's why here we are using circle symbol, and data flows is like that. Here for processing of this triangular area of a triangle, then you should need to give a two values, base and height here, then it will give the output to us. This is a data flow, right? And next, if you want to save, okay, same. If you will take some other example for data stores, this is used for storing of your data. It's like it is used like a database. What is a database? Database in the sense everything, the storage unit is called a database. Okay, in our computer also we are having some database. Through that only daily we are going to save data, right? Even Google have database, Gmail has database, like that here. Here everything here whatever we have, some Facebook, WhatsApp, and everything have their own databases. What they are going to do with the databases, whatever the information in the regular life, daily life, whatever the generated information should be stored through that servers or databases, isn't it? Okay, now we are using in day-to-day life here we are using Instagrams, or otherwise Twitters, or otherwise WhatsApp, whatever it may be, some social medias, all are having their own databases. Through that databases only, okay, if anything we want to extract, if we want to see old data also, it's possible because they'll save that information into the database. Okay, in banks also we are having database. Okay, every day we are going to deposit some amount or withdrawing some amounts. And even not only the banks, even your colleges also having databases. You are paying fees, okay, monies. Yeah, so everything they are going to, everything they are going. Right, in our colleges also you are having some databases here. Databases in the sense where every student information is storing, okay, into our college database, isn't it? How much you have paid till now, okay, what is our basic details, okay, like that everything is maintained. So if you want to represent that kind of database, it's possible in DFDs by using these two lines. Okay, these two lines. Data is often stored for later use. For future purpose, you may use. So here we have one other diagram. Okay, here we are going to collect some sensors data. Okay, whichever sensors are sensor units are generated by the data. The data is processed and okay, give sorry. Okay, okay, and produce some outputs, which means like a table information. If you want to store this table information into some what a computer memory, then you should store that data whichever is generated by a sensor, which means uh, of to if you'll see some shopping malls today, how many number of customers or came to that particular shopping mall, how they are going to calculate? Okay, that there they'll put one kind of mission. Okay, through that mission they'll count, I mean not mission, some what passing, it's looking like one I forgot that name, one what door, like door, something like that. There they'll fix some sensors. So through that, which person is walked through that, it will automatically counted. Not only there, even TTDs, which means in Tirupati or in everywhere, in every temples, it's there. By what calculating those data, and it will save the data into the database. At the end of the month, they'll release some calculations. Per day this much of devotees are going for some darshan, and this is the overall data, and this month is very hectic, like that they'll give some what statistics regarding that particular temples. Okay, so for storing that kind of data here, and this is the so level 0 DFD example. So DFD is already we have discussed that there are three levels are there in DFD representations: level 0, level 1, level 2. Okay, in this level, suppose if we'll see the level 0 DFD example, how it will look like. Okay, here first a digital video process. What are the okay, user, if the user is sending some information to add more number of videos. If suppose uh, I'm going to combine more than one one video into a single video. How it's going to possible? Nowadays many people are doing what combining many videos or many audios, okay, making TikToks. How it is possible? Okay, those are some what some apps, through some apps they are doing such kind of things. Okay, so background is one kind of RR is coming in background. In I mean in front ground there is our videos we will give some expressions to them, some dumshal arts or some TikToks, whatever it may be. We are doing that one. How we are adding those? Okay, by using some apps. First of all, you should upload or you should give your voice or and your video and some what what some movies of song and music, everything is applied to one app. Okay, that will add everything and it will produce one outcome, isn't it? So like that you may get one kind of outputs here. So such kind of things will come under a level 0 diagrams, which means it's not a complete information, it's just a basic information. Okay, basic information. And whatever the data you are going to add, okay, but how you are collected the data and what are the detailed parts related to that data, it won't okay concentration, it won't put concentration on that particular thing. Okay, it will concentrate on how this will be completed, what are the basic things, right? So such kind of representations will come under level 0 DFD examples. Okay, now here it's already 452, 453 like that. I'll show you that DFD diagrams, level 0, level 1, level 2 like that. I'll take some other example, real time examples for you, and I'll show you in uh, next classes. Okay, after finishing off these representations. Now I'm going to